Time to get going, everyone. We've got the nutmeg out. I hope you have your nutmeg and your nutmeg grater because we have to do this together. Ready? 1, 2, there we go. Okay, we have our nutmeg and our drink ready. And it is Friday, and it's we're here in the Nutmeg Tavern. And everyone's welcome here in the Nutmeg Tavern. You can come on in and warm yourself by the fire, or maybe on a hot day, stand by the open window. And regardless, we are going to have fun in the Nutmeg Tavern today. We're going to be digging into the 18th century like we do basically every Friday. And I am joined by Lauren, who is in the chat.
Hello.
And Ivy, who is on the console.
Hello.
They are on the far side of the time vortex. They're in wherever you are at in time, while I sit here in the 18th century. But that's okay, because I'm your host, John Townsend, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to be looking at one of the most influential artists of the 18th century. And he's a real groundbreaking artist, invents some things on his own almost. And for the time period, extremely well known. And one of those fun characters. There's some of those artists, I don't know, maybe I'm just drawn to them, but art that is full of detail. You know, like when I was a kid, the Richard Scarry with all the little animals, and they live in a town and all these things are going on. That's what a Hogarth painting is like, many of them. He did other things. He had this incredible life. When was he born? Let's see here. Born in 1697 to a father who was a teacher, a Latin teacher, and his father also did a textbook or textbooks, and at one point he tried to open a Latin, as in you had to speak Latin there, coffee house. That failed. I don't know if that was the reason, but his father ended up in debtor's prison, and that was one of those influential parts of Hogarth's life. He was a very lower middle class kind of family, so he was not a well-to-do kind of person, certainly at the beginning. And he was apprenticed to an engraver. But he didn't even finish his indentureship. Now, I don't know, how the ending of that happens. It's like you can't just get out of your indentures if you want to, but it may be that his the person he was an indenture to sort of let him off early. It's like, well, I won't pay you what I really need to at the end, because at the end of your indenture, the person is supposed to give you certain things, right? And it could be that they got close to it and said, well, if you went out, and a year early, I just won't give you the final ending goodies, and we'll call it good. Regardless, he doesn't even finish up his indentureship, and he really starts working and doing important things fairly early, like 1720. He's doing trade cards, so Lauren really enjoys looking at trade cards at this time period. And he enjoys doing art too. And even though he's sort of famous for the engravings, all the engravings are based on paintings and the paintings he did. So really, really incredible work. And he does some portraiture and things like that, but what he's really famous for are his social commentary pictures that turn into engravings. And they really, like some of his very first really important artwork is basically the start of political cartoons, of British political cartoons, so like 1720 or something like that. So really, really interesting. And many of his paintings from the time period are in a series. So he'll do like a series of 4 or 6, and they will go through like a narrative. So the picture tells a story, and they all tell a story. And he'll have a series that kind of goes through a story, and he's really kind of storyboarding a novel, and you don't even know it. And so it's really at the beginning of that whole, hey, we're going to do this novel thing. There he is, and he's doing it in graphic form. He's like a graphic novelist in the early 18th century. So super, super interesting stuff. You know, when we look at his art, and we can look at his art for a lot of different things, for social ideas and what people are looking like. But a lot of it is very, very symbolic. And if we're looking at it for the material culture part of it, so what are people wearing? What do things look like? We have to hold the symbolic nature right there in our heads. It's like, we have to understand that some of the things we might be seeing are symbolic in nature and not necessarily exactly like everything would have been in the time period. It's art, right? And he's communicating. He's not just saying, I'm going to give you this completely objective view of whatever's going, like it was like, and you know, this is a picture of natural life. It's not that. So we have to look at them and understand them in that situation, because we see it as this sort of cityscape, or you know, inside of a town, or inside of a house or whatever. We might think of it as, this is a snapshot of life. It's not that, right? So we have to be careful in that. But we also know that as long as we understand that he's communicating in that way, we can actually read more into it in some ways. So we can learn a lot about what's going on with life in the 18th century, and specifically the first half of the 18th century in London, right? Doesn't tell us necessarily perfectly about what's happening in North America or other parts of the world, but we can certainly get a glimpse of what life is like in that time and place. So, do I need to cover anything else? Can we start looking at pictures?
Yes, I think we can start looking at pictures.
Okay. I take a breath already. Okay, here he is, Mr. Hogarth. Even in this setting, we are seeing him in some working garb here. He is, this is a self-portrait of himself, and he's not wearing a wig. He's not wearing super fancy clothes, although I think there's ruffles on his shirt here. He's got silver buckles on. And
right, so kind of like a mix,
yeah,
like the new wig certainly says dress for comfort, but some of the other details are like, did he wear his best stuff for this self-portrait?
Yeah, but he's also not portraying himself as a rich person here. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have a lace coat or silly stuff like that.
It's a nice chair,
like,
though.
Here I am. I'm working. Look, I've got some art here, and I think he was very. He was kind of an outspoken person, whether he was, he was outspoken in what he was communicating in his art. And he, I think some people looked upon his art as not art, right? In the time period, snooty people, hardly an artist, right? And he made fun of other books that were, it's like they, here they are talking about what they think about art, and he didn't think that they knew anything. They were talking out of their hat. So there is some of that. He speaks to art for the time period. Obviously, those people that probably complained about him we've never heard their name, right? But if you know anything about 18th century art, somebody says Hogarth, you know exactly who he is. So he certainly stood the test of time. Here he is. This is something like 1749, so it's 20 years, 25 years after his kind of beginnings. So he's well into being a renowned artist, and here he is, apparently painted with his favorite dog. I didn't read about his dog. Did you read about his dog?
No, I didn't.
Yes.
But he made it into the portrait.
Right.
And you see, when I was looking at some of the pictures that we didn't use for the live stream today, the pug shows up in some other pictures as a model.
Well, he was probably around all the time, right?
Yep.
Easy subject.
Happy
Doesn't
to help.
complain.
That's right.
Of course, he might be running around when you don't want him to. I thought he actually the dog turned out a little better in the engraving because, I mean, that red tongue sticking out. I don't know. But you also notice here, and Ivy did this on purpose, the painting, which is, of course, the forerunner of any piece of engraving. So you do a painting, and then you do an engraving of the painting, and you notice that they're mirror images because that's the process. You have to, they would like lay a paper against it and fold the paper back, and you would draw on it as you went, so that you would be able to reproduce the first image. And from that, you get, when you do that process, you get a mirror image of your original painting. So everything, when you find the original paintings of them, they're all on the opposite side. Today, we got all these magic tools, and poof, it turns out completely differently. Everything's super easy. Now, everything was very, very difficult then. It's amazing to see just exactly how they did that. And it's interesting to see, and I didn't have time to dig into it super deeply about, it's like, would they sell the painting? And then
Did they sometimes sell it
right.
big? Did they keep it in case they need to make,
Right.
do the engravings, do you ever need to make another engraving?
Do you make multiples of the paintings?
Right.
Because
And there
as
were
you're-
a few
wherever.
things where there seemed to be slightly different variations of, well, there was one we were looking at
Right.
where there was a preliminary
Right.
picture that a sketch he had done first, then the painting, then the engraving. So.
Right. And he was really one for common life going on. So most of his paintings, this is a great example of it. This is Beer Alley.
Street.
No, Beer Street. Sorry about that.
So,
it's Gin Alley.
I think Gin Alley probably is one of his most famous pictures.
Right.
And it is not portrayed in this live stream because he did a little bit too good of a job showing.
Yeah. It's kind of distressing.
Right,
So.
it is. So we're going to take the happier view of Beer Street.
Right. So we're in Beer Street, and we can see all these little things going on. I mean, we can originally kind of pop into it, and it's like we can do a quick interpretation, but the reality is it's filled with little vignettes everywhere. There's a little story behind every single part of it, and it all comes together and supports itself in what he's trying to portray. And even this one, of course, there's multiple, stages to this. So there's Beer Street and Gin Lane, and they go together to tell a story between them. And Beer Street is about the good part of, it's like beer is good, gin is bad. And this was the gin craze in London, in England, in the early part of the 18th century is very formative. So beer for hundreds of years was the common man's drink. It was inexpensive. It was the soft drink of the day. So it's really, really important to everyone. So everybody eats bread and drinks beer. They're kind of related to each other. But in the early part of the 18th century, kind of sliding under the radar of the rules of laws, the time period that would regulate it and do regulate it later on, gin comes in and is a very inexpensive, highly intoxicating beverage that comes into places like London. It was very inexpensive and takes over, and it ruins people's lives. It's, because of what it does, people in that sense become sort of addicted to it. And here he's saying, look how good how life is with beer. Everybody is happy, fat and happy. Let's even say it like that, right? You can work and drink beer, and that's what people were doing. If you read Benjamin Franklin's autobiography, he talks about being in London, and it's like it was, boop, it's lunchtime. Let's take a break, and people would bring beer into the workplace. Right? It's like, oh, here's break time beer boy. And he's bringing in beer to serve to everyone. And that's what's going on here. Look at the people on the roof across the road. They are on the roof. They're workers working on the roof. And they're drinking beer up there. It's their break time.
It's perfectly safe.
It's kind of hard to see, but on the building right beside them, right behind the sign where the person's, painting the sign there are people actually kind of sitting on a ledge of the next door building, and that person on the little ladder, he's going to come and give them beer too. And there's a person who's in that big wide open doorway up on the roof there where the crane is and the big giant barrel is coming down. He's drinking beer up there. They're safe, no problem. It's just beer. They're not highly intoxicated. Everything is fine. If we go, why am I on this big screen when I could be on the little picture? What's the whole point of this, John? Oh, here we go. You can see the little people there on the ledge or at the open windows, whatever that is. I love the scaffolding too. It's just like, that looks safe.
Very.
What could go wrong? They're not worried about falling. Don't let OSHA see that. Anyway, we've got the people there working. Notice the sign here. Now the sign, the big sign, the upper sign, that is a barley mow. Look at those. It's like at the sign of the barley mow. And those people are dancing around this mound of barley, which makes beer. And there's a person who's on top of it. There's a barley mow song and all that good stuff. But below it, this guy is painting a gin sign. And he's got that little bottle that's hanging there is his bottle. And he's using that as a model. Now, everyone else in the picture as we go along is dressed well. And he is wearing tattered stuff. He is a gin drinker, and he's skinny, and he's poor.
Gin bad.
Yeah, gin bad. Beer good. He says it many times
Yes, he does.
in this thing. So there we are with the gin drinker and then the happy beer drinkers across the road. Yay! If we look here, there's the pawnbroker who is across
suffering.
the street. The suffering pawnbroker. His sign is falling down. His windows are collapsing. He's got a rat trap in the window that we can see, and his building is cracked. And he's got even a big shoring up timber to hold his house up. And he drinks beer. I mean, you'd think he was doing better. But he threw a little, he has to hide. We don't even see. We just see his hand through a little hole in the door. There is one of the boys who delivers beer in the street. It's like, going around delivering beer. So in Beer Street, nobody has to go to the pawnbroker.
No, because they have everything they need.
That's right, and their drink is not causing them to be non-working members of society. They all are working, and they don't need to pawn their things. And so behind here we see chairmen, so like taxi drivers of the 18th century, except they carry this chair with a person inside it. And look, there one of them is hot, and he's drinking beer. Because, of course, you need to hydrate.
I don't know how he's got to carry the beer around along with him while
He doesn't. That boy delivered it to him.
Oh, I see. Yes,
and
yes.
he's right outside a tavern.
That
See
is
the
true.
sign,
They stopped at the tavern.
The Rising Sun is another tavern across the road. There are all these rich taverns because no problem. Everybody's good. This person, do we show this person down in the lower?
Yeah, let's see if
right?
there's another.
Okay, we're probably going
I
to see
think
these
we're going to
people in the
focus
lower.
a little
Yeah.
lower now
Right.
and move on to the other quadrants.
Okay,
Yeah.
so now we're underneath the sign painter. And like I was saying with the symbolism here, we can tell who these people are. All three of each one of them has a symbol, even the female there, right? So the one sitting down right close to us, he is the butcher because he has a knife sharpener around his waist there. Notice how he's fat. He is rich. He has no problems in life, and of course he has a big mug of beer. It's because he's a beer drinker. That's why. And then there's the person who's right behind him. Another rotund worker holding up a giant cut of beef. I don't know why he's holding up an entire leg of an animal. Don't ask me. Is he going to start chewing on it? I don't know. But he has a giant tankard. Look at the foam coming out of that thing. He's going to have a beer mustache for weeks. And he's a blacksmith. He's got a blacksmith set of tongs. And look, his shirt is rolled up. Here he is in public. He's just wearing a shirt. He doesn't have a waistcoat on.
Is that because he's a blacksmith?
His sleeves are rolled up. Yep, he's a blacksmith. He's got on one of those little working caps, not a wig. Because blacksmithing is hard to do, but it's hard to do, and you need to drink beer to stay hydrated.
Keeps you strong.
That keeps you strong. Yes, that's right. Then the couple here, the female and the guy here, he is a street paver. And I didn't realize this until earlier, but right behind her.
Yeah, unfortunately, I
street.
don't think we have a great shot of the rest of the street pavers.
Right. But there's a group of street pavers back there. One of them's drinking beer, duh. Anyway, they have to take those paving stones and set them into like gravel or sand or whatever. You have to smoosh them down into place to make them nice and stable. And that's what he has under his arm. It's got that kind of chain on it. And that is a giant, heavy, sort of like a pestle from a mortar and pestle. It's a giant sort of hammer that you smash the rocks down into location with. And she has a symbol, which is a big key. That's a key to the good life.
And she has it because she assumably is also a beer drinker.
She's probably a beer drinker too.
Now, we don't actually see her with any beer, but we're just assuming.
Well, at least she hangs out with beer drinkers.
That's right.
But the key is saying something. You have a key to open up things that are worth something, right? You are in charge of something worthy. So all of these people are rich, and because they drink beer. And then we have the other folks. Here's some fish wives or fish sellers here. She has a ballad a new ballad on King Henry or Henry. I can't read exactly what that is. And then the person here on the extreme right-hand side is a porter. We've heard of porters, right? A porter is someone who ports things. He moves things from right there. He carries stuff around. That basket there is the basket he's carrying around. He's delivering books for someone. Actually, these books are books that Hogarth didn't care for. I think even on the ground, that piece with the strap is like something he would put over his shoulder, like a knapsack or something, and carry things around. You can't tell it well in this particular rendition because of the contrast, but he's got like an emblem that he wears around his neck. It's about, 8 or 10 inches in diameter, and it marks him as a porter. And of course, you can see the sweat on his brow, and he's drinking that beer, and he's going to pick up those books and deliver them. Everybody is rich and happy in Beer Street. Let's all understand that from the get-go. Now, one of the books. Notice the books. These are books he didn't like. One of them was Turnbull on painting. He probably thought that guy doesn't know
he doesn't know what he's talking about. My favorite, Politics Volume 9999.
Exactly. Politics Volume 9999. Here's another set of paintings he does on politics. Yay! And this is about political. Now, I am not super familiar with the system of, political vote getting and electioneering and all that good stuff in Great Britain. But it's not like it isn't, politics everywhere else in the universe, right? So we have multiple things going on. In this one, there's a whole series. One of them is, this one's canvassing for votes. There's one that's before this. And then there's one where there's the election going on. And then there's I think there's a fourth one that has to do with, installing the members, or, putting them in their chairs, as it were, something like that. But let's jump into the details here about, I like that, the continuing violence, deception, and bribery practiced in the course. Okay, look at the work that Ivy did on this.
Ivy did such a good job. She went into way more detail than I did. No, I do think this one, there is more going on with this one.
Right. And there's almost two, it's so kind of sharp, it's hard for us to see what's going on. Kind of like want to make it fuzzy so that it's easier to tell.
I did sharpen this one.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't have sharpened it.
It's all right.
It was kind of too fuzzy, and then I sharpened it, and maybe it's a little too sharp.
Sometimes there's
Live and learn.
fine
It's
line.
the modern world, isn't it? Anyway, the royal oak is depicted in the sign here. That's the, of course, royal tree. You can see like little crowns if you look closely at it. And then it says, now the other sign is over the top. It's just a kind
temporary
of
billboard.
It's a temporary quick billboard, paint it up and slop it on there, and it's kind of covering up the other one. And there are, inside this, there's money pouring out of the building and going into the bag, and they're carrying it off with the covered wagon.
Something about this reminds me of the Robin Hood when they're rescuing the gold.
Yeah, right. And then, of course, there's Punch, candidate for Guzzledown, and he's throwing money out of the wheelbarrow. Whoa, vote for me! And of course, Punch is just a great candidate. He's,
Look, again, what could possibly go wrong?
I'm not sure about why the bags are marked 9,000 and 7,000. There's probably more. I mean, as much detail as we can get, there's probably 10 times more. It's like, no, if you see, these people are, everything is everything is saying a message. And today, you know, if we had something, we would explain it to people. You know, 200 years from now, they'd look at us and go, I don't even know what you're talking about. So let's push on to the next section. Here we have, look at this. Look at this. Ivy just went nuts.
Okay, it was very complicated.
We were having real
Right.
trouble matching the description with what was going on, and so we thought we'd
Right.
we'd
We'd help
shortcut the confusion we ran into and make it
Right.
as clear as possible.
Okay. So in the tavern are these two guys that are eating. One of them is supposed to have this giant steak, and the other one is eating a chicken. You see him right there in the dead center, kind of
F.
high up, right? Now, yeah, F. Look for F. Look at that chicken he's eating. Now, both of these guys are supposed to be showing us gluttonous behavior, and that's how big a chicken is in the 18th century.
I don't know. Some things don't translate because our chickens
I've
aren't
seen a
that
chicken
big.
breast today, was a single one
Yes.
with more meat on than that entire bird. I mean, the whole leg wouldn't even look like a buffalo wing.
Now, maybe that chicken chicken breast came from couldn't walk around.
Right.
But
Yeah, not my problem, right? And then the other guy, that's supposed to be a cut of beef. I think it might be a giant pie, like a beef pie or something, but they say it's a steak. Maybe you can tell
maybe in
the
the painting you can tell, yeah.
Right.
Each of these did have a painting, and it is nice to see some of the colors. It does make things pop a little bit more
Right,
with
exactly.
color.
We have high up on the side here, they're supposed to be much higher, of course, but she cut them and brought them down. These two girls that are trying to speak to A here. And A is the Tory candidate who is looking at the girls. And he's buying things from this this person is a peddler, right? And he's got this little
B.
thing. What?
The peddlers.
Oh, yes.
Peddler's
Peddler B. Sorry. I was going, hello,
I put those
Dad.
letters there for a reason, Dad.
It's
Peddler B.
okay. It spells it out if you're looking at this
Yeah,
slide.
Peddler B. He's got, and usually they were just kind of cheap trinkets, gold-plated little thises and that's. It's always little fancy junk, right? He's like, I'm gonna buy some junk for these girls.
Ribbons for the hair.
Yes, exactly.
Fancy scissors, maybe.
Right.
Is it just-
Cheap necklaces and stuff like that. So, and the porter is the person who's kneeling down. He's like trying to deliver it. I don't know what's
E.
E. Sorry, E1. I'm glad I got somebody here to help me. E. I took all the time. You can at least use the letters. I don't know what's going on with the hat of E. I think that it's a hat and it's a head strap.
He's got like
like
a
a
bag.
pump line.
Do you think?
I think it might be a tump line and another package he's got behind his head. It makes it look like he's like got a helmet on from Star Wars.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
does.
know, but I think it's a tump line, which would be the first, I just thought of this now, the first time I've seen one in any kind of.
Yeah. Because they talk about it, you don't see them in art that much.
Exactly.
Yeah, maybe because they look a little strange.
Yeah. Okay. And he's got these two lower packages here, boxes. They have little things marked on them. Punch's Theater, right? Remember, so we saw Punch from Guzzleton and he was showing the money out. And then the other one, Sir, your vote and interest. So like, here's the money, here's your bribe, right? And he's well-to-do, obviously, this candidate. Let's see. And I don't even know what to say about that. I don't know why they commented about one of the girls being forward and one being coy.
I
don't
wasn't
get it.
sure if it didn't have something to do with the politics, but that part, they didn't make a connection.
Right.
But I don't know why else there would be a difference between the two.
Exactly. So there we are. This is another part of the painting. This is the madam, and that's where this money apparently is coming from. The soldier there behind her, I don't know if there's much to say about him. This little lion is eating a fleur-de-lis, which is not the French.
So he's an English lion.
Right. The
So
English lion is attacking the French. And then, yes,
It did note that in other versions
has more teeth.
he has a big long teeth, but in this one he's just kind of gummy.
Yeah,
maybe he thought he was looking too fierce.
yeah. And then that upper thing is like a sign that scrapes. That means they have
Beer.
beer. Well, wine
wine.
in this case, but yes.
They're like, find your drinks
A
here.
drinking establishment. And this is for the next one. We're going to jump out. We've been in pictures too long, John. Okay. Every week I try to get to the brand new and renewing YouTube members plus Patreon. So looks like brand new and renewing Micah, and then Mary Simmons and Jacob Hughes and Squigsy and Firecracker and Lucas Metro and Rogelio Tovar and Shubham Shub Hashish. And then No Name, that was inventive. And then Norman Webb, James Martin, Lewis Kreider, and McBride, KR0DHM. And then brand new Patreon person, thank you, Gail Sears. Thank you all of you who are wonderful supporters of what we do here on the channel. People that go to our website and buy cool Nutmeg Tavern mugs so that you can be in here and fill up your beverage properly with nutmeg, etc. What do you got for me, Lauren?
Okay, so Stonecutter 2 sent 5 Townsend's memberships.
Woo!
Thank you. And then someone had a question. They were wondering if you'd ever run across a painting from the 18th century or the 19th century that at first glance you're like, is that a photograph that was that real, that, kind of true to life?
Some can be realistic. Some usually it's a still life when they do those really well. They're kind of backed out, and they can give you kind of a photorealistic look. Photorealism is a bit more of a 20th century and 21st century thing, but they were trying to achieve some of that. But I think a lot of times they're not too concerned about that. I think just because it's not, I'm not sure about the motivation, and I'm not sure that they had the same kind of motivation in the 18th century to try to achieve that. Today, in fact, I'm not even sure today we do that because we're used to seeing photos, and then when we realize that this is art and it's been done, by hand and it hasn't done, then all of a sudden we're super impressed. But in the 18th century, I'm not sure that they would have that same kind of feeling. It's like, why did you do that?
Yeah, there are a lot of the still life especially is incredibly detailed, a lot of the Dutch stuff specifically. But it still has not quite a photorealistic quality to it.
Yeah.
But it does look incredibly, and they took a lot of time to get the texture and the translucency accurate, which is incredibly hard to do. Yeah. So it's very impressive.
It's like when they do those sculptures of people with a veil on their face, and you go,
yes,
how can you do that? You can't make rock transparent.
And then here's a super chat from Speed and Style Tony. Did Hogarth ever get into legal trouble over his pictures?
Oh, that's a really good question.
Did you have a note on that? Because I did a really quick search.
No, I don't know. Really good question that I don't have.
The one that is interesting, he was arrested when he was in France in 1748. He was visiting, and they arrested him and accused him of being a spy because he was sketching the fortifications, which like any artist would do. That poor
just
Maybe
making
they
a
were-
cartoon, man.
Just having fun.
Maybe they were just mad about the
Maybe
the
they were
lion
mad, though,
gunning
'cause
the fleur
he
de
was
lis.
Wow.
very negative about France and a lot of the things I saw, like just repeated things that he was, And then he was tired of his prints being illegally copyrighted, and he successfully lobbied to pass the Engraving Copyright Act in 1735.
Right.
So that's a very groundbreaking thing to have happen.
Right.
So I guess he was annoyed that I too would be annoyed if people were stealing my engravings.
One of the things that happened that was kind of interesting, and I didn't have a picture of it, and I didn't realize it until it was too late to get it in here. But he does a portrait of Susan Malcolm, who in somewhere in February of 1733, she's involved in a robbery and a murder of 3 women. And she finally admits that she was part of the gang that did that. She's like, I didn't murder anybody, right? But they never caught anybody else. And she was tried for it and convicted and executed for this. And very renowned kind of case. He comes in and does a portrait of her. And kind of becomes famous because of it, and it continues to kind of keep the case going to have this kind of a picture done of it, and it was very important in the time period, and an interesting kind of case going on there, and that may have been him like, kind of looking for a situation where he could get a little extra publicity.
Yeah, like
right?
it's a kind of
Yeah.
what an inventive way of advertising.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we ready to move into our last picture?
I better hurry up, John. It's not going very quickly. That's what happens. I have a little too much fun. Let's see. Okay, yeah. This is still part of the same painting. This is political things going on in the background. So this has the excise office, but it's also the Tory office, or a Tory office, isn't it?
No,
or
this
was
is-
it that across the road?
This is the wig.
Okay, wig. Oh, my
Wig.
gosh,
Yeah.
dummy me. I just broke something. There we go. Yes, this is the Whig party headquarters, right? And there's a mob outside. People are shooting guns into the mob. The guy, somebody's up there sawing the sign off, even though he's, of course, going to saw himself off. People are trying, there's violence going on. Is it staged violence? Is it whatever? There's just, political violence going on here. We have the Portobello kind of tavern across the road here. We have just these 2 guys. They're, I like the table, sturdy.
Yes.
For that rowdy crowd. These 2 guys are, one is a cobbler, and we know because he has a shoe on the table in front of him. And the other one is a barber because, in front of him on the ground is a barber's bowl and something else from his
See,
trade.
that makes more sense to me, but it doesn't make sense that the cobbler would. He just carries around his shoe.
Yeah,
with
I always
him
carry
and-
around a shoe.
Yeah.
He's just looking at it, maybe.
He's pondering how to fix this one.
And they're reenacting a battle there, maybe even a naval battle, maybe not. Maybe it's whole sets of groups. And notice their little, they look like macaronis on the table. Those are pieces of his pipe stem that he's broken
They
off.
break off his church warden to do this.
Exactly. They're, cheap, dime a dozen kind of things. I don't know what they have to do. It says a French barber. I'm not sure where that comes from, but I'm sure there's some tell there, right? But, what they have to do with this political story, I don't know. And I don't know that it really matters, but he's just putting interesting characters in there. Notice, each one of them, they're not bland.
Nope.
Right? They all have their limps or warts or whatever it is that makes them very, very obvious. The one in the back, or the the cobbler there. His wig is askew. That's why it looks like, what kind of weird wig is that, right? It's like a comb over. Well, it's just knocked sideways on his head. I don't know what it would look like when he was wearing it properly. But he looks like a real character there, as well as the barber. This is the very dead center. And this is somebody they're trying to buy his vote. So one of them, it says, your company due at the Royal Oak. And then the other one, your company due at the Crown. So the Royal Oak would be where the Whigs were at, and the Crown would be, of course, where the Tories are at, or whatever that is. And then
it may have slightly different wording. I tried my best to read the notes,
Right.
but it was hard. It definitely said your company and
Right.
at the Royal Oak, and then it
Right.
definitely said company and crown.
right.
So I assume they said the same thing.
Yeah,
But with the different
it's hard
things.
to say. Exactly.
It's hard to say.
But notice one of the people trying to buy his presents is just giving him one coin, and the other one is giving him many coins.
I wonder which one's gonna win.
Notice the one who his eye is going toward, and notice one is fat and one is skinny. Sort of like one drinks beer and one drinks gin. Anyway. We know that somebody's vote is getting bought here, and we know that the person with the more money is probably going to get more attention than the other person. So there we go. Here is the distressed poet. This one doesn't have any political content necessarily. This one's just about a particular kind of character. Now, maybe, just maybe, this is a little bit of sort of veiled autobiography. So, here's his father, a teacher, Latin, probably sort of wanting to be more intellectual, even starts a Latin coffee house. Here is this want-to-be intellectual poet, and look at his house in disarray. Let's look at the detail. Here we have him. He is trying to write a poem, and the book there that is in front of him is a not very good how to be a poet kind of book, right? How to write poetry for a dummy's guide. Yes, the art of English poetry, and apparently it was written in poetry.
Great.
Anyway.
No wonder it's no good.
And mechanical, right? Known for its being kind of very stiff, and it's like, that's the one thing poetry isn't, right? But it's like, ugh. His library above his head there, all 4 books. He's got one on the table, so he's got 5. In some of the versions of this, there's an interesting map that is like a gold that you might discover somewhere map, sort of like South Sea Bubble. One of these very, very early things was about the South Sea Bubble and people investing in things that aren't really going to come to fruition, and they lost tons and tons of money. Same thing, I think he was pointing at an idea like that.
Yeah, I assumed
This
it
one's
meant
different.
you're like, he's so
Right.
down on his luck that he's spending what little money he doesn't have to speculate because there's no other way
Exactly.
to get
I
out of it.
think so. This is like version 2,
Right.
and that's version 3.
Right.
So in this one, he's writing a poverty a poem, but in the other one, he's writing one about riches.
There we go.
He's still poor in both of them.
Yeah,
They're
right,
Basically
exactly.
the same painting, otherwise engraving, otherwise, but.
There's a baby crying in the background nobody's paying attention to. There on the floor, there's like a mop and whatever that nobody's cleaning. And look at all the paper, just laying around. We'll see in multiple places, there's a sword on the floor, like he thinks he's a gentleman. There's a greatcoat on the floor. It's covering up the Greb Street Journal, which is making fun, satirizing bad poets. And He is in a dressing gown because his clothes are being worked on. Notice his shoes, no buckles, and etc. And it also, if we look at the room here, with the slanting wall, this is a garret. This is an upper, inexpensive room. Again, one of those things we don't pay attention to. But there's his wife mending his clothes, and notice there's like clothing on the, hanging up, drying on the fireplace.
And it's got ruffled sleeves. The clothing is.
Yes, right.
They pointed that out when they were saying that he was wanting to be a gentleman.
And it looks like the sleeves might be separate. I don't know. Maybe they're just, kind of swayed.
Drapes,
we
yeah.
can't tell very well. But the ruffled sleeves on his shirt. He's got the breeches. There's the clothing. He's not taking care of. There's a cat with kittens on his coat.
Getting fur all over.
There's a tankard on the chair back there, and a big loaf of bread that is on the mantelpiece, and apparently that thing on the like the chimney piece up there is a set of mirrors, like one mirror and
small.
little mirrors around it. Yeah, it says there.
I bet that would be pretty.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know if they were not flat or what.
I would think it was symbolizing something, but I have
You
no
would
idea
think.
what. The book specifically mentioned it, but it didn't say anything
what it meant.
about it other than that it was.
I'd love to see one, like the piece itself. I've never
Right.
seen it that I've noticed before, a piece like that.
I mean, it kind of looks like a shield.
Yes.
But it would be interesting. The woman in the house there has a kind of sort of a what look on her face, and that's because this milkmaid here is saying, "Here's the bill you owe me," and nobody's paying it because he doesn't have any money. She has a yoke on her back there. That's again.
This is very thoughtful of him to make sure to give us symbols so we know who we're talking to.
This is what she does. She should have milkmaid tattooed on her forehead.
That's right. That would help us.
The upper cabinet there, of course, is empty. There's no food or anything in it. And down on the chair, the dog is stealing the only bit of meat in the house. Hey, at least the dog eats well, because no one's paying attention.
He's getting to have supper.
Because he's writing poetry. There on the wall there, we can see her cloak, her hooded cloak that she's in. So we'll zip in here. And there was one painting here. It's called the Satire on False Perspective. And again, him kind of commenting on people and art commentary and all that good stuff. What's happening in this painting, all these goofy things are happening, and everything is all screwed up. The perspective is goofy everywhere.
You know what this reminded me of? There's the Calvin and Hobbes comic where was taught when Bill Watterson is talking about drawing the Calvin and Hobbes comic, and he's talking about how hard it is to do it incorrectly once you know how to do it correctly.
So undoubtedly Hogarth was like, okay, now wait a minute. How do I make this look silly?
Or even it's hard to make it look incorrect if you don't know
how to make it
exactly
correct.
how to make it correct.
That's right. You have to know how to do it right to do it this spell.
The barrel looks like it's tilted up and down at the same time. It's like an Escher painting or something. Anyway, okay, we're gonna jump out.
There you go.
I'm gonna let you guys jump in.
Okay. Let me check to make sure. I've been doing it. Oh, someone was wondering whose dog it was, who's stealing the chop. I wondered if it came in with the milk, right?
Could be.
I wondered that too. I mean, they obviously have a cat.
I feel like that would be funnier. Okay, I don't think. Max Arcool sends in 5 Townsend's memberships. So thank you. I don't think I'm missing any questions. I think we're good.
So let's see, this week coming up, a really good episode, and the idea was from Lauren.
We got to get that undocumented because
I am well renowned, especially if there's any time that happens between execution and the actual, thought. Unless it happens like within the week, I will think that I came up with the idea. Everybody's like, I didn't come up with that idea. I came up with the idea 4 weeks ago. I don't know.
Hey,
Sorry.
Dad did all the hard work of pulling it together.
Lauren came up with the idea. We're going to be covering a spice of the 18th century and earlier. And it's going to be a fun one. We spent a lot of time on getting fun B-roll, and it's got a lot of great information, and it's one of those spices that we just don't think too much about today. It's like everybody knows it, but nobody really has a clue about what's going on with it. So we're going to have fun with that. And I was going to do an episode basically, right side by side with it or during it, and then I decided to break it off. So Ryan and I are going to be working on a great episode for the next one. So what else is going on? What do I need to know?
I think we're all good.
Okay. Excellent. A lot of fun working on these, and of course, I've been studying Hogarth paintings for 30 years. Like, look at that! Look at what's going on there. So it's great that someone in the time period took, broke new ground, gave us all this minutia information, and also made it fun. It's like, a lot of times boring. You can find minutia, but it isn't, it isn't kind of collated and made interesting for us. And that's exactly what Hogarth does for us. Some of them are, bawdy or sort of, kind of cut too close to home. But he was speaking directly to society and the problems he saw. And that's good, right? I don't know what to say other than that. When you're pointing at things and that are a problem, you're going to get people mad at you, and undoubtedly he had a lot of people mad at him. But his art was for the masses, and he made those topics palatable for the masses, right? It's like, hey people, this is a problem, and he made those paintings so they wanted to look at them and be interested in them. And he got rich doing it. So a really, really fun topic and an interesting character and understanding about things that actually move society in the time period. So really good. Thank you, Lauren and Ivy. They did all the work for this. Obviously, you saw all those numbers and letters. What was the note on there? It took you 2 hours for that one?
20 minutes.
Oh, okay.
I said it took 20 minutes. I'm wondering if it took me longer than that.
Yeah, it probably did. There's a lot of fun research that goes on behind what we do, and we just never know what's going to come. And every time you dig into a new thing, it leads you someplace else. So we have a lot of fun with that. I hope you've had fun in the Nutmeg Tavern today. I encourage you to go out there and dig in some of those artists of the time period, people like Sandby. It's just so much great art out there, and it's very, very enjoyable and a great way to learn about what it was like in the time period. Again, thank you, Ivy. Thank you, Lauren, for your great work. I want to thank everyone who's a great supporter here of the channel, even if you just share what we do on the channel. So important. But those folks that directly support us, thank you very much. Your great comments and your moral support are always greatly valued. Thank you for what you're doing. I hope you have a wonderful and great weekend, and thanks for watching.